Hello, and welcome to Take a Look Tacoma. I'm your host, Marlon Howard. Back in the summer of 1950, Frisco Freeze may have seemed like just another drive-in restaurant. Over 60 years later, it still stands as an icon, kept alive by the simple truth that a good product will always be in demand. But Tacoma has more to offer than just a great hamburger. Let's take a look.
Good morning, Marlon. Welcome to the Buffalo Soldiers Museum.
Thank you for having me. How did the Buffalo Soldiers get their name?
The Buffalo Soldiers actually, interestingly enough, were named by the Native Americans. The Native Americans always had a great deal of respect for the buffalo and revered the buffalo during this time. And so when the Buffalo Soldiers came on the scene as the peacemakers, they saw these men and they had woolly hair like the buffalo and big eyes like the buffalo, and they were tough. You know, they were very, very tough. And so the Native Americans named them the Buffalo Soldier out of respect, you know, and honor for them. But the Buffalo Soldiers were also known as the Peacekeepers. My name is Jackie Jones Hook. I'm the executive director with the Buffalo Soldiers Museum.
Who founded the museum and why?
The museum was founded by my dad, William Jones, who actually served with the 10th Cavalry from 1940 to 1944. So he founded the museum because he had the experience of being a Buffalo Soldier, but also he wanted to leave some history for the citizens of Tacoma to know and to understand the great contributions that the Buffalo Soldiers made to history and made to America. Okay. He originally grew up in Little Rock, Arkansas. He was the son of sharecroppers, former slave sharecroppers, freedmen, and he was a farm boy, and he went into the Army from there and traveled all around the world. He traveled to Italy and Africa, and of course he also served as prisoner of the Korean War as well as a Buffalo Soldier. There's lots of memorabilia and artifacts, but I think if he were here today, the thing that he would say is the most noted memorabilia is the museum itself. You know, that there is a place, you know, where Black Americans can echo and learn about their history and their great contributions to the building of America.
As a daughter of a Buffalo Soldier, how does that make you feel?
Well, I'm humbled. I want to say, you know, I'm humbled and honored, but also as growing up in the military, life was always filled with a lot of parades and decorations and respect and honor for those troops who have served. So I'm deeply humbled.
Now, looking in here, I just see where they say a female Buffalo Soldier.
Yeah.
I never knew.
Well, that's an interesting story. She wanted to serve, so she disguised herself as a man. That's the real story. Her name was Cathay Williams.
Okay, being the daughter of a Buffalo Soldier, as well as the director of the museum, do you feel more of a responsibility to get the word out to the community to know the history of the Buffalo Soldiers?
I do feel a responsibility, and I think that comes from a number of areas. I think one is my love of liberty, my love for America, even today. But also I think one of our goals is to get on the public school tour circuit because we are an educational museum. And unfortunately, this is one of the stories that was left out of the history book. But the Black American has made significant contributions to the building of America. They fought on the front line, you know, during the Indian Wars, during World War I, and during World War II. And Hundreds and thousands of lives were lost, but again, they wanted to prove themselves a sense of strength, a sense of valor, and that they could be good citizens, and so they fought long and hard for that.
What are some of the featured rooms you have here at the museum?
We have 6 feature rooms. They include From Slavery to the Military, Bravery and Honor, Living Styles of this Time, Black Troops, Black Officers, and we have an honorees room, Founders and Honorees room. This is the American Lake Maneuvers, actually at DuPont, Washington. And as you can see, members of the 9th Cavalry Regiment, known as the Buffalo Soldiers, served here in 1904. American Lake Maneuvers. As you can see, they're on their horseback right here in American Lake. So they've had a presence here in Washington for a very, very long time.
Overall, what would be the mission of the 9th and 10th Cavalry Buffalo Soldiers Museum?
Our mission statement is to preserve, to present, and educate the public on the great contributions of the American black soldiers to the building of America and their contributions in world wars as well.
Again, thank you so much for the opportunity to come visit the museum and talk with you. And we see that it is definitely making an impact in Tacoma. So we thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Take a look, Tacoma.
Okay, you see 2 domes. Not this one, we're gonna focus on that one. Tacoma is home to a diverse population, and for the past 30 years, the Tacoma Dome has had something for everyone. It's hosted everything from high school graduations to big name concerts, and today they are kind enough to have me.
One of the most unique features of the dome is it's one of the largest wooden roof structures that exists in North America. We think we're the largest in North America. There may be one slightly larger in Europe somewhere. So it's incredibly well built. We always like to say that it has really great bones. Obviously some of the elements are a little dated. We like to say retro, but the structure itself is just phenomenal. So there was real thought went into the design and certainly the structure itself. And it's actually local wood. And some of the wood was actually fallen wood from the Mount St. Helens disaster. So it's got an even greater sense of historical energy for the building. My name is Kim Badir. I'm Director of Public Assembly Facilities for the City of Tacoma. We also got some intelligence that there's a time capsule on site. So at some point this year we're going to dig that up and see all the 1983 paraphernalia that was in it, and then we'll make a new time capsule that will be opened in 30 more years.
Okay. So Howard will remember that then.
Howard will remember everything that was in it, I think. Yeah, there might be something of his in there.
I've been here for 30 years. I started day one when we first opened the door.
So how's the experience been?
Well, obviously it was good. I'm still here. My name is Howard Turner. I'm the Facilities Maintenance Chief at the Tacoma Dome and Greater Tacoma Convention and Trade Center.
Now, what was the thought behind the design of the Tacoma Dome?
I think the original thought behind the design was Stan Nacarado saw this somewhere and he said we need a dome of our own.
What was the first event that you held here?
I believe the first event we held here was when the grand opening, I think was April 19th, 1983. And I think the first celebrity come here was J.P. Patches.
What is the seating capacity here at the Tacoma Dome?
23,000.
23,000. Behind me are those neon lights. I heard there's an interesting story behind it.
The people in Tacoma were a little kind of excited about the fact that they went out of state to get an artist to do that. And they thought we had enough local artists here that we could have done that.
I'm here in the dressing room right now. As you can see, it's empty. Stars normally bring their own furniture because they want that feel of home. Sometimes they have special requests. Prince, for instance, he requested that all the lights were purple to create an ambiance. Purple rain. Have you had any strange requests from, I guess, music artists or any type of artist for that matter who's come here to perform?
Yeah, the strangest one is a certain artist who leave names. Yeah, his thing was he couldn't see people he didn't know before he got on stage. So at first they were saying we may have to walk out of the building until he got on stage. Then they said, well, no, we won't do that. So I was having to be on the elevator when he was coming out, and when he came out, his production manager kind of motioned to us to turn around. We had to face the back of the elevator till he got on and got off the elevator to go on stage.
He seriously didn't want anyone to look at him, or he didn't want to see anyone that he didn't know.
Yeah, that's what they told us. I think it affected his mojo or something. He didn't really have a good concert.
Wow. Now, other than him, has anyone else been here, I guess, for the duration at the time the dome has been built?
We actually have a number of long-term employees that have been with us, if not the full 30 years, almost the 30 years.
What I enjoy is the difference of the events. You know, every event, even though it's a repeat event, it would be something different would happen. And all the people that come here, you know, I'm kind of part of that experience, you know. And I like the fact that when people come here, they have a good time and they're excited, and I get to see all that.
Okay. Now, do you take time to watch some of the shows when the acts do come?
I have a rule that I have to stand out here for at least one song of every show, and I have a lot of other responsibilities show night, but I've got to hear that one song for a number of reasons. One, I want to say I was there, like everybody else, but also I want to know that the acoustics were good and that, you know, people are out here are happy and that we're creating the magic for them.
We've done everything from football to tennis to basketball to even some charity baseball games, softball games rather, with the fire department. We've done that. We no longer do hockey anymore. We got rid of the ice rinks instead. We've had all types of concerts, dirt shows, flat shows.
How long does it take to get everything set up as far as, you know, bring the dirt in here and setting up things?
Generally, they bring the dirt in about one afternoon. You know, you just have truck after truck, and you just come and dump it, and they have a front loader here who pushes it all around so that they can get the depth they want, you know, to distribute the weight on the floor. Generally, the transitions would be done in anywhere from an 8 to a 12-hour period, depending on what we come out of. If we come out of a show such as a dirt show, you always throw an extra day in there because you got dirt cleanup to do and, you know, get the air filtered back out so you get it out of the air. But most other events take anywhere from 8 to 12 hours to change the building around.
Tell us about Huey Lewis.
Okay, I had an exciting experience. Huey Lewis, when he came to this building, I had just gotten his album that he came out, and I was going down the hall to get on the elevator, and when I got on the elevator, it started to move, and these guys from the band, it was Huey Lewis, his piano player and the bass player, they got on the elevator and they were singing, and I sang with them, and they didn't stop. Huey kind of put his arm around me and we just kept singing, and the bass player danced with the lady I was with, and it kind of made my day.
Okay, so now that we know you're a singer, you want to give the audience
I didn't say I was a singer, I said I sang with Huey Lewis. All I said is he didn't stop me.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't hurt for us to hear a little bit. Come on, just a little bit.
There ain't nothing stopping us now. Well, that's okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Take a look, Tacoma.
Take a look, Tacoma.
Have you ever wondered how a newspaper is made? Me too. Today we're at the Tacoma News Tribune, and we're going to take a look at just how a story hits the presses. Ready? Let's check it out. I'm all checked in. We're headed to the newsroom. This is the newsroom. Every day, photographers, editors, and journalists are hard at work to bring you the news. Behind me is the editing board. This is where they hash everything out for the evening pressings. The engraving area uses computerized machines to create printing plates. Each page in the paper has its own engraving plate. Right now we're in the warehouse where they keep the rolls of paper. Each roll weighs between 900 and 2,000 pounds. From here, it goes to the printing press. The control room, also known as the quiet room. Reason why it's called the quiet room, because it's a lot quieter here than out there when the presses start running. And here's where it all ends, packaging, where it's loaded on the trucks and eventually to your home. This is the Tacoma News Tribune. I'm Marlon Howard. Take a look, Tacoma. It began as one man's love for the automobile. His collection was once listed by the Guinness Book of World Records as the largest privately owned collection. Now it is one of the largest auto museums in the world. This is Dylan May.
We're a car museum for more than just car enthusiasts. Clearly people who love cars will have a lot of fun here. But importantly, it's about stories around the automobile. You know, it could be history, could be culture, could be technology. We endeavor to tell stories with the cars, not just show the cars. I'm Scott Keller, Chief Marketing Communications Officer for America's Car Museum. You know, the museum was first conceived more than a decade ago when a man named Harold LeMay, who had the largest automobile collection in the world, 3,300 cars, started thinking about the legacy and where he's going to put his cars. This is 4 floors, 165,000 square foot. So we have 15 galleries here. The museum really is a reflection of the automobile industry. You know, automobiles have actually been in our culture for 110 years. So we have automobiles dating back to the early teens, literally the earliest days of the automobile.
Me, myself, growing up, I still remember my parents had an LTD. I don't remember the year, but it, when I think about that car, it brings back so many emotions.
Not everybody's a car expert. As a matter of fact, roughly 8% of the population are car enthusiasts or experts. But I would argue exactly what you're saying is everybody's got a memory with a car.
Yeah.
So a car you went on vacation in, or your first car, or a car you always wanted to own, or one you saw in a movie, it doesn't really matter.
So you were a young boy when you first fell in love with automobiles?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. My family was in the automobile business, so cars have always been around. And I have an admitted disease around automobiles. We have an expression around here, you shouldn't vote your garage. So I have to be careful that we're paying as much attention to automobiles that I might not personally like.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot to see here because the museum is got a ton going on. I mean, other than the exhibits and the cars, we've got slot cars and racing simulators and a movie theater and a show field and just tons and tons to do.
You know, it's interesting. We have a 1948 Tucker in the building, and the Tucker was touted by Tucker, who developed it, as being the safest car in America, and he was going to put seatbelts in it. But the reason why they didn't put seatbelts in it is because in the day, seatbelts made the impression that the car was unsafe. If you had to wear seatbelts in a car, the car was unsafe, as opposed to today.
Things have changed,
Yes.
I must say.
I'm Renee Christ, Collections Manager for LeMay America's Car Museum. I have a 1965 Volkswagen Bug that I purchased when I was 17 years old, and I still have it.
Now, did you ever think about getting rid of it?
Well, over the years I thought about selling it a few times, but it was the type of thing where I had driven it all through high school, all through college, and I just couldn't get rid of it. It was more like a family member than anything else.
Growing up, when I was in high school, I had a Toyota Tercel, and every now and then I'll ride around town and I'll see that car, and it just brings up moments of nostalgia for me, and I would take a picture and send it to some friends, and we'll go back and laugh and talk about the memories we had.
All the things, all the people that I piled into that VW Bug. Matter of fact, now my friends that knew me back then still are astonished that I have the car now, because they remember riding around in it with me. Well, I'm the collections manager here, which means I take care of all the vehicles and our non-vehicle assets that we have on display. Both our loan cars, make sure that they're on display and they're taken care of properly, and the cars that the museum owns. So there's just any given time, there's just about 300 cars here on display. Wow. Everyone always asks me what my favorites are, and it's so hard for me to pick one because I love them all. They're just wonderful, beautiful examples of American cars and foreign cars as well. It's really hard for me to pick just one, but I have a few that I really, really like a lot.
We're about America's love affair with the cars, but not necessarily American cars. It's about cars you would have seen on the road. So if you were in America, probably more on the coast, in the East Coast or the West Coast, in the period of the 50s going through the 60s, even now to some extent, you would have seen these great British cars all over the place. They started coming back after the war when the soldiers fell in love with them. Found their way into our car culture, and they're still around, but you saw a lot of them back in the 60s. Well, we start with a story. So British invasion, we said, well, there was this great time with music and fashion and culture and cars. It all came together. So you start with that kind of basic story, and then you work from there. Interestingly, only after we determine the story do we start picking the cars. So it's a little bit different. We don't start with, say, we've got these cars, how do we display them, more than what would be a neat experience for people coming to the museum.
All right. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Marlon. Appreciate it.
All right. I'm here at the NASCAR exhibit, so gentlemen, start your engines.
You know, Marlon, there happens to be a car in the building that's called a Marlin. We should go down and show it to you.
Oh, I definitely got to see
Okay.
that. All right. So this is the Marlin.
This is the Marlin, and it's a 1965 AMC Rambler Marlin. And I had to bring you down here because, you know, I mean, after all, how many times have you got a car that's kind of named after you a little bit?
I know. Now, it's spelled with the I-N.
That's right.
And mine is O-N. But looking here, I see the car was sold for $3,100.
That's right, new.
Could I get it for that price?
No, not today.
Now, with the cars, do you drive the cars and keep them in
Well,
condition?
actually, yes. Actually, these cars up here, when they're on long-term storage for display, they're actually conserved. So they're brought to a state to help them. You know, it's not good to have cars just sit.
Yeah.
So we have a very extensive process that we go through to conserve the cars, to keep them so that when they're sitting, they're not deteriorating. However, we do have a running fleet, which we have down on our level 1, and those cars are used to go out to events, or we take them, and then of course to keep them up, we do regularly exercise them and service them.
Again, thank you so much.
That was great. Thank you
right.
for coming.
All right.
Take a look, Tacoma.
Take a look, Tacoma.
We could go on and on, but our time is up. Join me next week as we continue to explore the city of Tacoma.